What is going on, guys? Today I bring you another episode of the Journey to National Master, and today it's a very special episode. My opponent is David Farias, a very strong junior player from Portugal. At the time that we played, I was 1489 ELO and he was 1939. So, yeah, the game actually starts with a story. And this is gonna be a long video because I always like to include my match stories. I feel like they add some fun to it, to the video itself. And yeah, never talked with David before this match. But yeah, I think that of course I knew who he was. I think he knew more or less who I was. Um, and yeah, because he mentioned my videos, I think, and stuff like that, which was very funny. But we were having some banter before the match, like 10 minutes before the match or something like that. We were just joking with each other, and I said that I was gonna play d4 against him, and I promised I'm gonna play d4 against you, and he was like, "Oh my god, really? Really gonna play d4?" And yeah, I'm sure. Like, I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play d4." And he said, "I think I'm gonna play e5." The England gambit, which is horrible for black. And honestly, by the time that we were playing this match, I didn't. I never looked at the England gambit before, so I said, like, generally said, but trying to troll a little bit, like, please don't play that, because I never actually studied. I don't know what to do against that gambit. I don't know the traps and stuff like that. And at the time, it was true. Like, I didn't know the traps. I would probably, like, fall into some England gambit trap because I actually never looked at it. And I know that it's tricky. So yeah, he was like, no, maybe I'm playing knight f6, maybe I'm playing e5, I don't know. And there was also another guy there, and yeah, we were all laughing at it. And it comes the start of the round, the arbiters announce, okay, you can start your clocks. Start of the seventh round, so seventh round, and here, he was like, I played d4, and he was like touching the e5. He was not touching the e5 pawn, but he had his hand above the e5 pawn, like trying to, do some funny gestures, like he's gonna play 5 looking at me, and I'm like, oh, panicking, and we are, and the guys next to us start laughing and stuff like that, and they're like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh my god, what are we doing? We were just laughing uh, a lot, and yeah, I mean, after knight f6, now the game starts, and I was like, I was doing like, oh my god, I can't believe. I was like, okay, didn't play 5 and stuff like that. I was acting a little bit, I was like, oh. It was very funny, but then I was like, okay, let's chill out before the arbiters are like, what the heck are you guys doing? But yeah, it was very funny start of the round, honestly. So yeah, after d4, knight f6, I go knight c3, he goes d5, bishop f4, e6, and yeah, at some point I think we were still laughing a bit, but I was like, okay, I remember at some point, like around the opening, I said, okay, let's focus now. Let's focus, because I'm sure that we could just play the whole match just laughing and making jokes at each other. Honestly, David is actually a very fun kid. Yeah, he's just very funny, and yeah, he's an amazing player. He's 1939 at the moment that we played, so you can imagine, and he's like very young, honestly. But yeah, after e6, I play knight b5. This is just theory that I did prepare for the summer tournaments that I was playing in. And here, I thought for a while, played knight e6. I played e3. And here, he also thought for a while. He was spending a lot of time in the opening, which surprised me a lot. And yeah, he eventually played c6. I played knight c3. I was pretty much pre-moving almost because I knew all this. I had prepared before, and yeah, pretty standard so far. We're following like kind of theory. And here there's a lot of moves, but he thought for a while, and I think that after like at least 20 minutes or something, he played b6 here, and b6 is a very bad move. I mean, it's not losing or anything like that, but it's a bad move. And here I never seen a b6, and yeah, the way to punish it was just developing. Normally, I could just develop knight f3, and this b6 move is. I mean, he wants to put the bishop on b7, which he eventually does. But the thing is that I just get developed quickly, and I start getting an attack on the king side, and he's probably gonna play uh, kingside castle. But here, you know, I thought for a while because I knew that he made a mistake here. But yeah, the engine just says knight f3, a3. I mean, even like these moves are a3 just to stop bishop e4, but normally I don't care about bishop e4. I just keep developing the king side and trying to make an attack. And it's kind of strange because here the engine on chess.com says that a3, knight f3 are the best moves, but on the other end, the lead chess engine just says g4 is the best move. At least when I analyze it, and yeah, it makes sense. It just wants to ignore what black is doing on the queen side and start expanding on the king side and start an attack here. But yeah, I ended up playing queen f3, which I had some ideas. It's not a horrible move, but it's not the best. And my idea with queen f3 was to play eventually queen g3, have pressure on g7, control the dark squares, also have pressure along this diagonal, you know, make his pieces seem awkward. Because yeah, this knight on a6 is just awkward, right? It's not really well placed. But he goes bishop e7, I go bishop e2, because of course when I play queen g3, I need to have the h5 square covered. And he plays bishop e7, so he goes with a plan, normal plan. I go queen g3. My plan in here, he castled, and I remember, I think he left the board at this point, and I was very confused. I thought that he just blundered, and I couldn't see, like, I thought that after bishop h6 he was just gonna have to second exchange, you know. He doesn't have knight h5, and yeah, I thought that he just had to go g6 in second exchange. And you know, like, he just plays. I was like shocked, and he just comes to the board and he instantly plays 98, and I was like, how did I miss that? Like, what? Like, yeah, I just missed that he had 98, which is so bad. But I tend to miss a lot of these retreating moves, honestly. Which I guess might be normal because I've heard that retreating moves are the hardest to see in chess. But I literally have a big problem seeing these moves because it's just not the first time. And here I just play bishop f4. No other move makes sense. I guess h4 makes sense, but I mean, I wasn't thinking about it. And after bishop f4, he goes bishop d6, which is correct way to deal with this. And yeah, here I just play knight f3. I just want to keep developing. He takes, I take, and he goes knight d6. So far, I mean, it's just equal. I wasn't able to punish his b6 move, so, you know, even though it was bad, I mean, didn't punish it. And I go h4. I just wanted to attack, honestly. Even though I had to trade bishops there because of my mistakes of playing bishop h6, which just was just a waste of tempo. I still wanted to attack, and I wanted to mate David, and I wanted to win the game. So I just went h4. He goes c5, and I go h5. I don't care. Literally don't care. Kappa. And here he plays queen e7, which is a mistake. It is quite a big mistake. I was expecting him to go h6, and I would probably go just g4. Honestly, I would just keep attacking, and you know, put as much pressure on him as possible. But he goes queen e7 here, which, yeah, I mean, I don't really understand. I mean, queen e7 connects the rooks, keeps an eye on the d6 knight. But here I just go h6 and I get what I want. After g6, he actually, here I missed the idea of to punish black. Here I played a very weird move, and yeah, I thought for a while I had a big time advantage at this point, honestly, and yeah, I just missed the only winning move. There's one winning move. I mean, it's not winning. I'm not winning, but I'm way better. And yeah, the winning move is bishop takes a6, which seems very weird. And of course, if you don't see the follow up, it doesn't make sense because you're just giving your good bishop to this bad knight. But after bishop takes a6 here, queen e5, and yeah, I mean, it's weird. Why is this so good? I can't castle here. I mean, he's probably gonna open stuff up soon. But here, okay, I'm just threatening mate, right? So it's forced. Knight f5 has to be played here. I don't think f6 would be that good. Yeah. After f6, I have a tactic. I can play knight d5, and if takes, takes. And yeah, this is not good for him. And so the only move would be knight f5. But here, I think I would have. Actually, I don't have g4 here, because on g4 he has f6 on time, and here this doesn't work, knight d5, because his knight is protecting, so he can take. And yeah, after this, and I'm just down a piece. So I can't go g4, I have to go knight h4 here. It's the correct move, and yeah, I mean, this is just too complicated, honestly. f6 is the best move, and after knight takes f5, queen f7 here, and just queen f4, g takes f5, and the computer says that I'm way better here. And of course I didn't see any of this, because this is way too complicated for me and for most people. And so I came up with this weird idea of playing bishop d1, which is just horrible. It's just a straight up horrible move, you know? It's just a horrible move. But I had an idea with this, actually. My idea was to reroute the knight to b1 and d2, and then eventually play like something like c3, play king f1, king g1, like g4, g5, and go for something like, you know, put a knight on g4 here, after knight h2, put a knight on g4, put a knight on f6. I mean, just completely like creative and out of the box idea. I mean, honestly, when I played this move, I thought, I'm pretty sure this move doesn't work and it's bad, but I sort of don't have a clear idea on what I want to do, and I need to make a move. And yeah, here I didn't want to castle, even though it was the second best option, just to castle. Yeah, I just went bishop d1, and here he played knight c4, which makes sense. And I kind of saw, and my idea, why didn't I go knight b1 directly if I just want to go knight b1 and knight d2, you know, connect these knights, play c3, maybe just be a little bit more solid, was my idea before I started attacking on the king side, you know. But here I didn't like knight b4, and it was attacking this pawn. Here I didn't want to put my knight on a3, because I put the knight on b1 to go to d2 and not a3. And also, yeah, I thought, of course, I didn't have knight here. I didn't have bishop here, sorry, on d3 because it just takes, and this is horrible, right? And yeah, bishop d1 here. I mean, yeah, I could play bishop d1, but I don't know. I felt like after knight c4 here, b3, that he had some weird moves. I don't know, like knight b2 or something like that. Even though this is not that good for him, but yeah, and it's just yeah. I mean, honestly, after thinking about bishop d1 and this idea with the knights, I should have just came to the conclusion that he has like this is just too slow. It doesn't really make sense. I have to go for another plan and try to find another plan. But you know, sometimes you're thinking for a long time, and you know, you just end up making a serious mistake, and that's what happened. I played bishop d1 because in this case he doesn't have knight b4 here. I can just kick it away, right? Which makes sense. But yeah, knight c4 I thought here, and yeah, but here the thing is that he also has this, although I mean maybe he doesn't have, because now I have like bishop e2, and if he goes for knight b4, I have this takes and there, and yeah, I'm winning one of the knights. So you know, that was my idea, which yeah, I mean it's just very confusing, right? So he plays knight c4, I play b3, he plays knight a3, and here I just play knight b1. I was like, let me just trade this knight, and he takes, which is not good. He should have played knight b5 back, but it's hard to see. Um, yeah, I mean, just a very confusing game, honestly. He takes, I take, and he goes f6, which is a good move. You know, trying to expand and open stuff up on the, just open the center. I mean, my king is still in the middle. My pieces are very weird now. Before it was his pieces that weren't as good. Now my pieces are just horrible. Like, what is my bishop doing on d1 when it was on e2, right? So yeah, just very bad move, and just lack of knowledge, lack of skill, honestly, that from my part for playing bishop d1. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I regret playing that move, but it is what it is. After f6 I castle, I finally admit that I need to get my king out of the middle, and my plan was just failed, you know, literally just a bad plan. And here he played knight b4, going after my pawn on a2, and here I played rook a1. I didn't want to play a3 because I saw that he had knight a2, and then he's threatening to go knight c3, and I didn't like this at all. So yeah, I just decided to go rook a1 back, and yeah, just accept that I mean, my position sucks. He goes knight c6 back, and here I just go queen g3. I wanted to step out of e5 to not come with tempo, you know. And here he goes rook a c8, natural developing move. I go c3. Yeah, my idea was just if he opens stuff up like this, I just take like this, and I'm fine, I guess. Like, I'm not doing that bad. So I thought, and he played bishop a6. I have to play rook e1. And he plays bishop d3, which is kind of annoying, that bishop on that square. And here I just decided that the best was to probably just trade the bishops and try to trade as many pieces as possible, because, you know, I no longer like my position. Like, yeah. So I decided to trade. And he goes queen d7, which I don't understand from looking at it. But yeah, I played here rook a e1, doubling the rooks on the e file, and after rook c2 e8, I guess this the engine says that this was the engine just says that I'm better here. And I mean, I can see why. I mean, we traded most of the pieces, and this pawn on h6 kind of is very annoying to his position, because like he will always have a hard time activating his king, and just this pawn is always a menace there, because, you know, he always has to watch out to like infiltrations on the 7th rank by the queen or by any other piece of mine. And yeah, he can't really get to this pawn very easily as well. That's another thing. So after his move, I played e4. Here, to give some context as well, he was starting to get really low on time. I mean, by this point, he probably had like 10 minutes. I still had probably like, I would want to say like 45 minutes or something like that. He probably had 10 minutes, I had like 45 or something like that. I had way more time than him because he spent like at least 50 minutes for the first like for the first 20 moves of the game. Honestly, more. He probably spent like an hour or something in the first like 20 something moves. And here I already had low time. If he didn't have 10 minutes, probably had like 15 or something like that. But here I just go e4. Better would be dc5. Here takes, and here e4. After e4, it takes here. So yeah, pretty much now it's easy to understand, right? Because if I just simply take, it takes here, and I can't really take. I mean, I have to move out of the way. Let's say here, and now he just takes here maybe, and I take here, and you know, yeah, I guess this is better for him because he's just up a pawn, and in the other variation, he's not up a pawn. You know, he can't. After I play e4, he can't take on d4. But yeah, I mean, the thing with that I like I'm trying to understand here is, okay, this pawn is protecting d4. The e3 pawn is protecting d4, right? So by taking first, he no longer has this move to counter it, and yeah, it makes sense because after this and this, even though I'm taking a pawn off the center, like he gets an isolated pawn on a7, and now I can play e4, and yeah, it's a way better version, honestly. I'm just not that good of a chess player yet to understand those things and to actually think through in a game. I was just like, okay, it's getting low on time. I want to open up the position. I want to make it as complicated as possible. But yeah, I missed that detail. And he played the best moves. He takes d4. And after this, I realized that I just couldn't play this because I would just be losing a pawn. So I decided to take here on d5 intermezzo, which I thought was very smart. Because now he can't, of course, he can't take here because he loses the knight. And I thought that if he took here, that I would be just winning completely after rook takes rook, rook takes rook, queen takes rook, and then queen c7. And I thought this was just winning because I'm threatening to go here on g7 mate. As I said, very strong pawn here on h6, threatening mate, so he has to defend it somehow. And I mean, I'm also putting pressure on this knight, so knight e7 is the correct move. But here, I mean, I can take this pawn maybe with a knight, for example, and I have pressure on a7. I am coming in with a knight, and yeah, it's just very. I mean, I'm even training knight c6 at this point because he can't really take it, and yeah, my position is just winning. But here he plays queen takes a d5, which is the correct move. And here I took with the knight, and yeah, I was expecting something like takes, and I was expecting this position which I thought that it was complicated enough, and I thought that I had really big chances. I thought that we were going into this, but all of a sudden he surprised me with e5, and here he was really low on the clock. He had probably like, I would have to say something like 3 minutes or something like that, honestly, he had on the clock, and I still had like 30 plus minutes. And yeah, e5 is not a good move. I didn't see the refutation. There's only one good move here, which is knight c6, knight takes c6, and after queen takes c6, the computer just says rook d1 and just transfer things to the d file, like let's say here, 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 and yeah, the computer just says that I'm way better, and honestly, I mean, yeah, I didn't really look at this position. I didn't. But I decided to go for a more flashy move, which was knight f5, which I was like, oh my god, this is the perfect move to play because this is complicated, this looks scary, and this has some nice ideas that I can play instantly. And yeah, I mean, he can't take the knight, which is awesome, right? Because my queen is pinning the pawn. And here I have a lot of threats. And I have threats like knight g7. I have threats of playing knight e3, attacking this queen. Maybe then play c4, play knight d5, put pressure on f6. Maybe I can look at sacking somehow. Maybe I can even go knight h4, try to sack on g6. Like, I have a lot of ideas here. And after some time, I think after this, like, he literally had, like, probably after he played king f7, I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating, but maybe he had like 1 minute on the clock, or yeah, I think he had probably like 1 minute on the clock or two at this point. I think he had really low time on the clock. I played knight e3, which is what was one of the ideas, and here he played queen c5. Here the computer just says that I'm in cruise control, you know, I'm way better. The computer wants me to play knight g4, which, I mean, I don't get. And yeah, I mean, also wants to play knight c4, perhaps. I saw knight c4, but I didn't like b5 here, and the computer just says knight d2, and yeah, makes sense. I mean, now I'm just rerouting my knight, just jumping around, and but I played c4, which for me was more natural. I wanted to play knight d5 here, and yeah, the problem with c4 that you can obviously see is that he has the d4 square for his knight, and I have to move my rook here, and maybe he has time to play something like, I don't know, like rook d8 or something like that. But I also have time to play knight d5 here. Yeah, it's complicated position, honestly. A lot to think about here. But he played rook d8 directly. I played knight d5, and here he played knight d7. So, I mean, it makes sense. He was really low on the clock, and he was just trying to trade pieces to make the game less complicated. But here, yeah, here apparently I had a sort of move that would put me like almost winning, which I didn't see at all. I didn't even calculate. I just stopped directly. Apparently I had b4, and he can't really take this because after knight takes f6 and king takes f6, I just have this, and it's just mate in 2. I didn't see this idea with b4, which was very nice. I had time on the clock to consider it better, but unfortunately I didn't use that time because I was really just playing against this clock. And I saw what I thought was like a winning move, a winning tactic that would just, you know, win me the game. I played the amazing knight takes f6, and unfortunately, this is not winning. It's not losing. It's just drawn. If he finds all the correct moves, which, like, post analysis, they are kind of easy to see. My idea was just takes, and here is just busted. I thought that it was just losing here because I'm not only attacking the queen, attacking the knight, I'm threatening queen f4 checkmate. After, for example, let's say here, what does he do? Let's say he plays something like, I don't know, queen c7 here. Queen c7 actually doesn't work at all because, yeah, I mean, there's no moves that actually work here, which is kind of crazy. But let's say queen c7 just for the purpose of explaining what was my idea. My idea was something like, you know, queen takes here, rook takes e7, and after like he takes or something like that, I would have queen f4 checkmate, and that was my idea. But I missed the resource that he had uh, to save the game, which it's kind of obvious, which is knight after rook takes e5, just knight f5, and yeah, he's attacking my queen, and he's still up a knight for the moment. So yeah, things didn't work out as well as they could, right? Here the computer says either takes on c5 or takes on or e6 check, and after this computer wants queen g5 and just keep actually attacking, which is kind of crazy. Uh, but yeah, I missed knight f5. I think even after, actually after knight f6, he couldn't go knight f5. This would be completely losing, because after queen g5, he keeps all the problems in the position. I'm not threatening a lot of stuff now, and yeah, this king is very unsafe. But he played correctly. He took the knight first. I took the pawn with the rook, and he played knight f5 here, and here we traded into an equal endgame after rook takes c5. Fortunately, after knight takes g3, rook c6, king g5 takes the knight. I'm up to pawns temporarily. He goes rook d2, very well done. I mean, the rook putting pressure here and threatening to come on f2 and start, just giving me checks and just taking all my stuff. So here I played rook f1, and we traded. He took the pawn on a2, so yeah, after rook c7, king takes h6, we reach this endgame where we both have 4 pawns, 2 on 2, but he's slightly better because his king is more active and my pawns are doubled, so I have to kind of hold. And yeah, we reach that time, that part of the game where I usually just fall apart and lose. And yeah, here he was just playing on increment. He literally had like 30 seconds or 1 minute, honestly, on this clock for the rest of this endgame. I go c5, and here, even though we were in such a pressure moment, he still made a joke. I think like his joke was, like he pointed. He didn't speak into it, but he pointed to the moves, which is so funny. Here he played b takes c5, but he was like, rook c2, pointing to rook c2. He was like, you're trying to trick me, because here, of course, this is a mistake because I have this and I'm just winning. But yeah, he was, you tricky boy. He didn't say that, but he was like, I see you. um, and the funny thing is that I don't even think I saw that, honestly, when I play. I didn't play that as a trap. I just played it to trade pawns. He took, I took, he played a6. I played b4 and I offered a draw. I have this thing, this yeah, I have this deal that I can't offer draws, and I broke the deal. And yeah, breaking the deal, it's not good. I did break the deal, so oopsie daisy. I shouldn't offer draw. But here I offered draw, and he was like, let's play a bit more. He was like, that's so savage by David, honestly. He was like, okay, it's probably a draw, but let's play a little bit more. Maybe you will blunder and I'll not lose rating points. Because mind you, he's like a kid, so he has K40 still, and he's playing against someone that's like almost 500 points lower than him. So yeah, he's gonna lose a lot of points, even with the draw, which is kind of sad. But here he plays rook a4, and here, I mean, just simple, like rook c, I think just rook c6 just draws immediately. Just draws immediately, because if he takes the pawn, I just take. I mean, if he pushes, I just take, and he takes, and I mean, this is just a draw. I'll just, I mean, I think even I can defend this ending, right? I mean, just keep the king here or here and give checks, you know, threaten his pawns, and when he starts advancing, just trade everything, and boom, 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 it's just a draw. But here, my brilliant mind I had like 20 minutes on the clock. He had like 30 seconds, as I said. He was just playing on increment. And here, with 20 minutes on the clock, I had the brilliant idea to throw the game like I always do, or almost always do, in Rook endgames. And I decided to play one of the only losing moves, b5. Very interesting move, right? I mean, what was my idea with b5, honest? Like, what was my idea? Like, when you play a move like b5, you have to consider like the simple moves, like rook a5. Here I realized that I just lost the pawn for no absolute reason. And after b5, he plays rook a5, and I go like, oh my god. I literally go like this, oh my god. And I think I say it out loud. I say like, I can't believe I just threw this. I can't believe I just threw this. Oh my god. What did I just do? And he was laughing because like what he was like, what the fuck is b5, bro? He was also like, what are you doing? You're trying to lose this so hard. And I was so frustrated. I was like, oh my god, what have I done? And here, you know, just, I was so pissed at myself after rook c6, because like the thing is that this doesn't, like, this idea doesn't work because it just has time to stop my pawn. So I don't know what went through my mind with b5. I had 20 minutes on the clock. Just play rook c6, goddamn. Like, this just, it literally has nothing. Like, this is nothing. But I played b5, which is horrible, and after rook a5, I rook c6. I decided, okay, let's try my best to hold this. Maybe this is a draw because, you know, sometimes some rook endgames with even up a pawn are drawn and stuff like that. But, you know, it's kind of hard to imagine this being a draw. I play rook c5. I mean, who maybe he plays b4. Like, of course he's not gonna play b4. He gives a check on a1. I go king f2, and he goes king b1. I go g4. I mean, I didn't want him. I just wanted to make some space for my king, and yeah, g4, just getting some space here. And he goes b4. I go rook b5, putting my rook behind his pawn, and he goes b3. I go king g3, kind of hiding from all the checks that he can throw at me with the rook. Now my king is kind of like protected here. And he goes g5, which is the best move. And here, I mean, the computer says it's a draw. The computer says it's a draw. There's nothing really he can do. So in the end, I mean, it was a draw, apparently, after all. But yeah, here the idea is, it's kind of hard to understand, but like for me, at least, king f2, let's say he starts moving his king, right? Let's say I go king g3, he goes here, I go here, he goes here, I go here, he goes here, I go here, he goes here. Okay, this is already losing, so this doesn't work. Okay, just moving the king doesn't work. So let's see. Here, the computer doesn't really, after g5, the computer wants me to play king f2. I played rook check, but the idea is king f2, and after something like, let's just say, he starts moving the king towards mine, king g3, king f6, rook f5 check. That's what the computer wants, and after king e6, rook takes g5. So the computer is like, I don't care. Like, you can push your pawn all you want, but now I took the pawn and I'm going to b5. And when he goes like king d6, notice that this rook doesn't really have moves. So let's say king f2 here, it does the job. And after like something like king c6, I guess I can just put the rook on like c on b3, for example, and whenever he tries to approach with the king, I go like rook c8 here, and I start giving checks on the back rank. Yeah, I didn't see this idea, but honestly, like, yeah, it looks simple, but during a game, like, it's really hard to apply this like simple stuff, you know. It's really hard. And after, okay, let's go back to the game. After g5, I played rook b6 check, and this is still fine. King g7 only move, and but here the computer wants me to go back to b5, so just do that strategy of just going rook f5 here, and after here you can go here, something like that. No, you can actually, you take the pawn first. To study way more in games, I actually started reading the Silman endgame manual book or whatever, and I've been enjoying it actually pretty like a lot to study those things. But yeah, after king f6, let's go back to the game. g5, rook b6 check. I go rook b7 check here, and this is already losing because yes, like, actually king g6 is not a good move, but king f6, and I guess that if I just kept doing this, I mean, he would probably just be able to put his king here in front of the pawn and then make like build a bridge or something. Yeah, he will probably be able to do like a Lucina type of end game where he just builds a bridge and he just you know, wins. But for my lucky ass, he plays g5, I go b6 check, g7, and here after this check he just offers me a draw. He offers me a draw and I accept it instantly. And yeah, he was really low on the clock, and he told me like, I don't know, I didn't know how to win this endgame. So, you know, I was low on the clock, I just, you know, whatever, just draw. And I was like, whew. I was so happy because, like, Jesus. I mean, if he knew his endgames, he would have probably beaten me, and it would be very painful. But I got super lucky that he didn't try to push for more. Guess, you know, it's hard if you don't know exactly the plan immediately when you have like 20 seconds on the clock. You don't want to lose by time. That's the worst thing ever, and so you just don't even want to think about it. You just go for a draw, you know, whatever. The game was a draw probably, and I'll go for a draw. And no hard feelings. And yeah, that was my game. Very long episode, maybe the longest episode that I've ever had, you know. But yeah, this was the game against David Farias. I drew a 1939 player, which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah, and as you've seen, this has been a very, very good tournament for me, just in terms of being able to compete with these very, very strong players. It really boosted my confidence because I just came off a tournament that went okay, but yeah, I was like super tired because, you know, I went 9-round tournament and 9-round tournament right after it with like 1 day difference. So kind of crazy that I was able to perform like this with just such long games and such complicated games. But yeah, that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this marathon of an episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.